everyone. Welcome to In the Rearview Mirror, a supernatural retrospective. We are your hunter hosts, Graham and
Sierra.
We are here to deliver you quality reviews on our own personal thoughts on every episode of the pretty well-known show, Supernatural. All 200? No, there's definitely not 200.
There's 327 episodes.
327. We are talking about season 1 today, episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Grouping a lot together.
Yes, we're going to start grouping these together just to make it a little bit more concise with this review. So let's get right into it. So we watched Wendigo, the Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
I'm going to continue to say Wendigo, and I'm going to smack my hand every time I say it. Or you can smack me. Actually, don't smack me.
All right.
So it was about the Wendigo, that was killing people. Cool. Now, moving on.
Yeah, it killed the, that's sad, though. The guy was in Glee. Corey something?
Sure.
Yeah, he was in Glee, but he actually died in real life, so, that's sad.
Really? He was in that episode?
Yeah, he was the guy with the sat phone. He was the brother they were looking for. Are you serious?
Oh, he's really young. I did not remember.
I literally, when we watched this, I was like, bro, it's the guy from Glee.
And I was like, sure. Went over my head. Okay, and the other episode we watched, next episode we watched is Dead in the Water. That was
a lot of people started to drown super close to each other
in this small town lake.
So pretty suspect.
Yeah, which I thought was really funny because the whole time the guy was like, they're just drowning. I'm like, 4 people have drowned.
Drowning,
whatever. And you're like, nah, they just drowned. Are you kidding me? That's not suspect at all.
Well, he was just like, people drown, and they're like, this many
in the same family,
so close together. Also, they're kind of related.
You don't think any sus?
You're not connecting the dots here, there, Sheriff?
No, yeah, whatever. Okay, so next one was Phantom Traveler.
Quality.
The plain one. Or the whole time when we were watching it, I was like, this is Final Destination. And Sierra's sitting over here like, really? I've never seen it.
I haven't seen... I think of when I think Final Destination is I guess they're in a car and they're driving behind that log truck and the chain breaks and then it slams through. That's all I know about Final Destination.
What are you talking about? That's the 4th one.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that's all I know about Final Destination. That's how uneducated I am.
Oh, no.
Because, when those came out, that was scary.
Oh, no. No, all I could think about was just that, it was flight 180, and then half the time in Supernatural, they were like, oh, it's flight 280, and I was like, flight 180? Flight 180?
It was 2784. It was a 4-digit number.
Listen, but all I could hear was flight 180 because, that's what happens in Final Destination.
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Well, that was the whole thing then. So Phantom Traveler, there's demons taking over planes and crashing them. Yeah, that's the whole episode. Woo! But yeah, all I could think of, it was a good episode.
Oh, really funny note. So she's just this is kind of a convoluted plot. They're getting on the plane and blah, 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 and doing all this. She's like, why don't they just call in a bomb threat to stop the plane? And I'm like, a bomb threat? It is 2005. 9/11. She's like, they don't have to actually do it. And I'm like, it is 2005. 4 years after. It's still a little too soon.
For the audience, as the audience.
And I say the audience, and she was...
Oh. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess
She was
right.
not picking up what I was putting down.
No, I wasn't. Second to last episode we watched was Bloody Mary. Again, I think it's a pretty classic episode.
So it's about Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it's Bloody Mary. You say her name 3 times in the mirror, she comes and kills you. Yeah. Continuing on. Last episode we watched was Skins. That was that shapeshifter episode that, honestly, I had no idea what it was about. I thought it was a werewolf episode, and Sierra's like...
So good. She was like, oh, the werewolf. I'm like, this is the shapeshifter. This is the first shapeshifter episode. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, the one where it's it looks like Dean. And I was like,
yeah.
When I saw we were watching Skins next, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is an episode. Super excited. I just
kind of forgot all of it. I kind of forgot all of these, I feel like.
I'm sorry. You forgot all of these?
To be fair, yeah. Going into it,
you remembered the thing in Bloody Mary about Jess, and I was like, what secret did Sam have?
Yeah. Well, because, a lot of these, they don't really have to deal with the plot as much. They are definitely, filler-based episodes, but they're the first few episodes that you actually do need to see.
Yeah, and I mean, the episodes so far, they got to do 2 things for us as the audience. They need to expand the lore world build, really. What are the creatures that exist in this world, and how do you kill them? And it also has to give us more information about the characters, because if you don't like the characters, the show isn't going to last. And so that's why this show ended up with 15 seasons when really it probably shouldn't have.
No.
That's because we loved the characters.
We did.
That's why we got to 15 seasons.
We had this long conversation on how, and I had to explain that if you can have character-driven episodes, movies, character-driven stories, they will be inherently better than any plot-related stories. Because if you are invested in the characters and you care about what the character's doing, you do not care about the plot because you want to know what continues on. You want to know what's happening to these characters. That's why we have all, like, here you go, coffee shop AU.
Right. You want to see, you don't care. You care what happens to them, but you don't care what happens or what they go through, but you want to see them go through. You want to see how they go through these things that they're put through, because you want to see how they would react, and you want to see them do things because you like them and you want to see more of them.
Yeah. So setting this up that you do definitely need to see these episodes. I mean, they're just good episodes.
Well, first of all, yeah, of course, they're scary. They're all scary. I absolutely had a light on watching them. Very scary.
Yeah, I thought they were definitely like spooky.
They did a really good job. I mean, like with Dead in the Water, they got all the drowning. She's in the bathtub, struggling, gonna drown. And they come in. No, the dude who drowns in the sink. Oh my god! I was like, have you never seen? He rolls up his sleeve. This is a weird thing that happens. The water just goes really gross, and then all of a sudden it fills up. But the drain wasn't blocked or anything. We can see that it wasn't. And so all this water fills up, and he's just like, guess I'll just roll my hand up and stick it in this murky ass water. Like, the man has never seen a horror movie in his life, and then, he pays the ultimate price for it.
No, I remember when we were watching that, like, I was scared, too.
Well, you also forgot he died, and, like, so did I. I was like,
oh,
maybe he lives.
Oh, my God. I was like, I'm pretty sure the main girl in the beginning, who drowns, I was like, I'm pretty sure she dies, and then he's, like, sticking his hand in the water, and I was like, does he drown? Oh, well, he is drowned. Oh, he's dead. Oh, he died. I don't remember this.
Well, we were like, maybe he's not dead. And then they did the and they cut where they cut the commercial. We're like, no, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Oops. Yeah, and then, like, even later on, I was like, does the dad die? And I was like, oh, the dad dies too. And then later on, the sheriff is like, take me instead. Leave, like, my grandson out of this. And I was like, oh, did he die? And I was like, oh, he dies.
So I think Wendigo had some good classic horror setup going on there. So it starts, it starts with those kids camping.
In the middle of the woods.
In the middle of the woods.
Naturally.
Which is always a terrible idea.
Even though they're like, I have a satellite phone. You're like...
the Wendigo doesn't care. The ghost, Bigfoot, whatever, doesn't care. Whatever various other things live in the trees. It's demons, a lot.
Everything.
Oh, everything's bad. The trees are scary. I don't know what to tell you. So they set up with that. And of course, the guy goes off alone, which you're never supposed to do in the woods ever. It's that fear of, the unknown, the unseen, because in horror movies, it can be the scariest thing can be the thing you create in your own mind. What am I trying to say here?
I know exactly what you're trying to say, but
I'm not articulating this well.
I can't articulate that either. The scariest thing is the unknown. I think
the monster is scarier when you don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because you make up the scariest thing in your mind, and then you scare yourself more than these people probably ever with terrible effects, and
That's for every horror movie. Like, look at Paranormal Activity. You don't see anything, and everyone was like, scariest movie of the year. Like,
it was actually really funny that they were like, the scariest movie of the year, because it really wasn't, but...
It was creepy, though. Like, looking back to it, you're like, whatever. But
I mean, Blair Witch was still definitely scarier than Paranormal Activity.
But even that's a perfect example, though. Why is Blair Witch so scary? Nothing happens. It's so creepy, though. It's so scary. Like, it's so creepy, and the music was just done so well. There wasn't even any music. I don't even know why I'm saying that. But
there wasn't?
There wasn't really any music.
You're right, because Blair Witch, they're in the woods making a documentary.
It's like a documentary. But yeah, no,
Oh, wow. That movie was so scary, even without music.
I know.
But also, lack of sound is scary. Like, not... Removing things is scarier than really adding them, I think is
actually,
the takeaway here.
That's why all these beginning episodes of Supernatural are so scary, because, like, even in Bloody Mary, like, you see her, but she's just, like, in mirrors and everything, and she just pops up, and then she's gone a half second later. You're like, what was that? I don't like that.
And she's all dark, and she's basically just a shadow, but it's still, like, she's not just a shadow. She's, like, a real person.
Yeah.
but she's got the ring look.
Well,
Is that...
Yeah, the ring. I was literally about to bring that up. I'm comparing Bloody Mary and Phantom Traveler not Phantom Traveler. I'm
Dead
comparing
in the Water.
Bloody Mary and Dead in the Water because those were both ghost episodes. And you don't see him. Like, I mean, Bloody Mary you see, but like in the Dead in the Water episode, the little boy that dies, like, you don't see him until the end, until he's in the water. And you're like, oh my God, that kid is terrifying. Who's just like peering his little eyes out of the water. And you're like, oh, that was scarier than if they had him out of the water.
Literally. Or like even most wet. Like, you don't see his whole face, and for some reason that's way creepier.
You just see like literally like barely the top of his head. Like almost like he's like looking back at you.
You see
you see his eyes.
You see the eyes, you don't see the nose. It's
yeah.
eyes
and then like
forehead.
you see like his like arms kind of like
they're like floating.
And it's just really like, oh yeah, it's really creepy.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more. Well, because like, and for the Wendigo episode, like, I was just creeped out because you're just hearing like woo in the background, like Russell.
There's also a cave.
Oh yeah,
caves are scary.
Caves are scary. Yeah, like
another tick for the horror movie tropes. There's a cave and it's an abandoned mine shaft, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, because that was the whole thing.
Like where they live. That's like the lore of where they live.
Yeah, we'll get into that though for monsters later. But yeah, that was like the whole thing. No, but I like these because this always just sets up for following things. Like there's really not canon to follow at this point because they're setting up the lore. Even though, cough cough, Phantom Traveler, we don't see the spooky sand mist of the demon anymore.
It's not even sand. It's like beads. Really?
It looks like sand.
It doesn't look like sand.
It kind of looks like sand. Compared to smoke, like if you're comparing like smoke and sand, Phantom Traveler, and I think it's only this episode. It's like
this is the only episode they have the demon, and it was so cool. But here's the thing: demons, become a lot more regular occurring in the show, and so they ain't got the time to be making fancy beaded looking demon smoke, sand, gunk, demon gunk.
Yeah.
Demon gunk.
I do like, though.
So they had to switch it up and make smoke, which still looks pretty cool. But, I really liked how they did the demon here.
Yeah, and then they follow it, like, even with the first ghost episode. Think it was for Dead in the Water or Bloody Mary. Honestly, I can't remember. They were like, oh, we gotta salt and burn the bones. And I was like, oh.
Salt and burn the bones?
I think that was Bloody Mary.
It's Dead in the Water. And I was really excited because I was like, oh, here they are. They're explaining the salt and burn. I love it because obviously they don't need to explain this because they know what they're going to do. I guess they could explain it. They're explaining it to Sheriff Guy.
Yeah, they're explaining this to the audience though.
But they're really explaining it to us about how you have to go find the body. You got to salt it, splash with holy water, burn it.
Yeah.
Right? Did they have to splash with holy water?
I don't remember.
All right.
At least they mentioned it. So now we know for future that like, oh, this is what they do. They're establishing this is their life.
These problems, all these monsters, and then how to take care of them. Mm-hmm. Like the Wendigo, it's fire. And sometimes you have a flamethrower and sometimes you have a flare gun and you just or Molotov cocktails and you just do with what you have.
Ghosts, yep. We salt and burn, and then demons, I guess you exorcise is what they came up with. Okay, let's talk about I was thinking based on what my favorite monster was on all of these, or like what I guess yeah. And I thought it was the Wendigo because like I really like the lore because of like Until Dawn came out, and like I thought that was actually like really interesting, even though I think when the original Supernatural episode came out, I could care less about the Wendigo. But I also really like the Shapeshifter because like it's so interesting. But I have to say I really like the Wendigo. They followed the lore very well on the Wendigo.
To the extent of our Wendigo lore knowledge.
Well, no, because I remember I looked it up because I was curious about when Until Dawn came out. And so like I remember looking it up and being like, oh, is this the kind of true lore? And it was supposed to be a human who turned cannibal and they were like cursed or whatever. But I really liked in Supernatural that they followed the lore of it can mimic people's voices, which honestly made it creepier because, you got someone calling for help and you're like, oh my God, my brother or sister or whatever, we have to go help them. And then you're like, shoot, that's not them. And then like they're like really fast and creepy and just they dwell in caves. And I thought that was creepy and I really liked that lore. And yeah, you can only kill them with fire, which is kind of hard. Most people don't carry a flamethrower around, so
Most people don't.
Yeah.
And most people don't have, fire bullets or anything that would be helpful.
And I remember even in the Wendigo episode, Sam and Dean were like, well, all the stuff we brought is useless.
Yeah. I
Like,
remember
it's
that.
useless.
They're like, great, guns are worthless.
Like, all of this, they were like, it's just gonna piss them off. And, like, it's just not gonna work. They're like, we need to get out of here. Like, we're just in this hunter ground. Like, they were scared, which is kind of funny thinking back to it now that they were like, we gotta go. Like, screw your brother. We gotta go. Like,
it's really funny because they're like, yeah, we gotta go. They keep doing this. They're just like, this is too big for me, man.
we gotta go, yeah.
I forget their very humble beginnings in season 1. Oh my God, like they were only taking care of vamp nests? Like,
and ghosts, apparently. Well, yeah, like going to the demon, they were like, oh, is this a demon? Like they didn't know what the demon was, which was really funny. They're like, is this? I don't know what this is. It could be a demon. And
Sam
I'm like,
didn't know the exorcism by heart.
Oh, I know. I think I knew it. I was
doing?
like, Exis te amo still spiritus. Like, just like reverberating back to all the times I've watched Supernatural.
And Cristo.
And Cristo, oh yeah, the demon, yeah. Like, we never really hear that ever again. We might.
I don't know why. I think we did one time.
And they were like, this is too hard. Which is funny.
I don't know why they...
This is like the easiest way to tell if it's a demon.
Well, that's the thing. I think is they don't really need it because they can figure it out now. Because they're not,
Usually they're like splashing holy water.
Stupid.
And I'm like, just Cristo.
Yeah, they just have enough experience now. They're just like, that's a demon.
Yeah, I guess. No, but I like the demon that, we get the demon and the boys. Yeah, going back to the boys of, this is too big for me. I'm like, the demon is too big for you. Oh, you are in a rude awakening.
We gotta call Dad. There's one whole demon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. More like, boys, get it together.
I
You're the Winchesters.
They were like, we have to call John. We have to call him. He's got to deal with this. I was like, Dean, what?
I wish Dad was here. Like, no, you don't.
So funny. And I felt really bad that, but then, ghosts were easy. Like, they were just like, it's a ghost. Easy. But then I like going back to the roots where they had to investigate because, for Dead in the Water, it was a little boy who was murdered by fucking bullies. I'll bleep that. Just very passionate about that, apparently. But he was bullied and they killed him. And we were talking like, how long are you holding this poor child underwater? And you're like, man, he dead.
Yeah, I get horsing around.
Yeah.
But do they really not understand that you can drown people?
Murder is wrong.
Murder is wrong. A sheriff should know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the guys was a sheriff. Jesus Christ.
Well, he had to have been to make sure it stayed covered up. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
That was his long plan.
Yeah. And so the whole point was, we couldn't figure out this, who this boy was. Why was the lake? At first they thought, it was Loch Ness Monster. And then they find out, it's a ghost. So
I thought that was kind of an interesting plot twist. We're thinking it's like a creature and they're just like, nope, actually a ghost is someone who drowned. And we're like, tracks.
Yeah,
sense.
it does track actually. No, and I felt so bad for this poor ghost too. I thought the ghost's feelings in actually both Dead in the Water and Bloody Mary, I thought the ghost feelings were validated. Both of these people were relatively young. For Dead in the Water, it was a young boy who was murdered by dumb bullies, and then his poor mother just never knew whatever happened to him. He just didn't come home on his bike, and that is so sad. I'm so yeah, you have the right to maybe murder this family in cold blood.
Listen, the little boy ghost.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this ghost.
Yeah.
This ghost planned... Okay, so generally I feel like the pattern in this show is that ghosts generally exact revenge soon after
their death. Yeah.
They're murdered or wronged or whatever the hell happens to them. This kid waited decades. This ghost was waiting in that lake for decades. All right, man, you know what I know what's gonna happen. You're gonna build a family. You guys are gonna build families, and then I'm gonna take your loved ones from you one by one. All of a sudden, and then before you even know it hits you, you're gonna come in this lake, and I'm gonna drown you, and it's gonna be great. I love this. This ghost thought this out so well. It's oh my god, so much thought went into this revenge plan.
Yeah,
I respect it. I respect this 10-year-old boy ghost. You did it, buddy. Killing people's bad, but yeah, but no, he's validated. He was killed first.
Yeah. Seriously,
he was murdered first.
Well, because even if you're Bloody Mary, the poor woman, was her name actually Mary? I don't remember if that was actually her name. So whatever, the poor woman was brutally murdered in front of a mirror because she was having an affair with a married guy who I think they said was a surgeon or something. And so he cut out her eyes surgically, and it was just really creepy. And I was like, yeah, F that guy. go kill people who have hurt other people. These poor ghosts hitting me right in the feels. I'm like,
You feel bad for them.
I do feel bad
you
for
feel
them.
sympathetic. You feel sympathy for these ghosts. You really do.
Yeah, and also, honestly, if you don't feel that any of their feelings are validated, is actually probably a great point that you won't care about these characters.
And you need to care about the characters.
Yeah, you could hate the character. Guess what? Hate is a feeling. Some of my favorite characters are evil.
Most of your favorite characters are evil. Name a favorite character who's not kind of evil. I'll wait.
I don't know. What do I watch?
Well, you watch Supernatural.
Wait, who's my favorite character in Supernatural?
Crowley.
Oh.
If any, he's at least ambiguous.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Vampire Diaries, Klaus, evil. How about Lucifer? Is he evil? In the show Lucifer. Not the Supernatural Lucifer. Although
I was just came for that.
do you like any other? You like Dean, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not evil, so I guess that's one character you like who's not evil.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, but come on, my first three were all evil.
They were.
I'm like, who are your faves? They're all evil.
They are. But guess what? They're written great.
So I don't know. I know that you liked the Wendigo the best, but oh man, I don't know. That shifter, oh, that's spooky.
Yeah.
First of all, you just come in contact with somebody, you just touch them, and then you can just shift. You can become that person.
As gross as it is.
Well, yeah, that was really gross, and they did that actually really well. It was so gross though. Yeah, it's. I was like,
is that an ear?
oh yeah, and the teeth are falling out. And,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was gross. But I mean, the episode was so interesting. And then the shifter was really just, I think, out of here, my favorite. I mean, besides the Dead in the Water ghost, he was just, his plan was so good. I just really liked that ghost. Really did. But I think the shifter for me overall was the most interesting. And maybe it's also because we don't really see the shifter come up as much later, which is really sad. That's really unfortunate, because that would have been a way cooler filler episode than another ghost.
They definitely do that. Well, actually, funny enough that I don't even think for the Wendigo they don't even mention it ever again. But the shifter, they definitely mention, like, is it a shifter? And then it's not. But there are a few other shifter episodes, which is really interesting, and they do keep on that like nice little canon of like, oh, like, is there a flare in their eyes? Like, which is like really creepy, and like that's a cool thing to tell the difference on. Is there their gross meat suit that like they have to shift?
You see any skin and globs?
Yeah,
anywhere?
And then you know, like them being able to like take on the persona of whoever they like touch. And I don't think they explain it in this one. I think they just need DNA, or if they touch them.
That's true. They don't explain it, but we do. I think probably
I
later
think
we find
like,
out.
They just need some hair.
You just have to. Yeah, do they?
I think it was.
I thought you just have to. They have to come in contact with their DNA somehow.
Yeah.
And then they're able to shift
into that, which is, I mean, it's pretty easy. I would assume to get that anywhere if you're not really checking. Just go raid someone's garbage.
Yeah, if you don't really care who you shift into, but you need to shift into somebody.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting though, that you could just be the person, like be the person, like have all their memories that they do, which was really interesting. We have to have good written characters, and we do find a lot about Sam and Dean's past, I think.
Oh boy. I can't even believe how quick we get into their trauma.
Oh yeah.
Oh
like
my
God. We really do. Because I remember we were talking about it was in Dead in the Water. Dean maybe looks like just like, you know, the stereotypical Dean. He's just like big man and tough dude and blah blah blah. And
yes, his persona.
toxic masculinity.
Yep.
You know.
Classic Dean.
Yeah. Naturally. And then you find out like he's like, yeah, I'm good with kids.
Which, first of all, was really funny because Sam says, name 3 kids that you even know.
Yeah, and so for Dead in the Water, that this poor kid's not talking, and Dean's like, you know, like, I witnessed a trauma, and, like, I didn't talk like you. And, Sierra, you were just talking about a post that you read that someone said that he was silent for a year?
Right, yeah, in John's journal, apparently it says that, I don't remember when this supposedly comes up, but it says that Dean didn't talk for like about a year after Mary's death, and then I read this post, and then that day, we watched this episode, and I was like, whoa. They mentioned this? I don't remember
this.
this.
Like, I was like, oh, like, so that really just gives you a background of, like, Dean's just really not Like, it most likely is probably a front. Like,
Dean is hella traumatized.
yeah. Even in, like, the Skins episode where we see Dean, well, Dean's not the shifter turning into Dean, but this shifter is, like, reliving all of his memories, and he is, like, 6 episodes in, and this being is telling us, the audience, this boy is real messed up. He has some trauma, like, real bad.
Oh, and buddy, he's mad at you.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Seriously.
go into Dean's jealousy that Sam got to go off and go to college and be his own man, where Dean had to stay home with John and hunt.
Well, and they even go on about how he said, like, oh, everyone's gonna leave him too, like, we're gonna do it. In reality, that's kind of what happens. First Mary leaves him, and then Sam's going off to college, and now, like, John's manning him now, and then, like, it's rough for Dean right now, and he just feels like he has a lot of trouble. And I think that's so interesting because, like I said, I guess the first few episodes, I would assume that Dean is this, macho man who just
The contrast between Dean's persona and what Dean actually feels is very interesting, and it is very compelling through this entire show.
And they do it early on. I think that's why I'm just like, episode 6, man.
Oh yeah, I was shook that we were going into Dean's psyche so deep so quick. I was like, oh, we're talking about his abandonment issues?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
Already here?
And,
oh, wow.
and I think maybe they just kind of, like, brush it off, but I was just like, oh my God, like...
Oh, well, I mean, because we already we have a lot more context, and we're like, oh my God. And this was so early. This is season 1. This is episode 6.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, Dean's got issues with Sam going off to college, which we already kind of knew, but, like, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But not really
Not
until
to
this
the point
episode.
where he was like, this supernatural being is like, yeah, your brother is mad at you. Like,
Ooh, he's more jealous. He clarifies.
Yeah.
As he downloads more memories, which is really creepy and weird. Ugh. But I also liked the parallels between the shifter and Dean, and I think that's why the shifter liked Dean so much, was because they felt isolated from everybody else. They felt different, and which I thought was really interesting when he's talking to
The girl. Rebecca, I think it was.
I think it was Rebecca.
Yeah, it was Becky.
Yeah, so when he's talking to Rebecca, he's really just giving us, you want to be loved. And I was like, oh my God, that's Dean AF. I'm so stressed out. Why are you saying this? And it's so funny because I love the show, but I didn't really rewatch the episodes really obsessively, at least the early ones. And so to come back, and this is almost like a first review for me. And so to come back and just to see them going this deep into these characters so soon with stuff I just forgot we knew so early on, it was crazy.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people watch these episodes because a lot of people just thought they were fillers, and in a sense, I guess they are, but, like, you don't get this deep-rooted early access or early on stuff that it's almost like this is just already hardwired into their character, but...
Usually it's like mentioned, stuff like this will be kind of mentioned in passing. They'll sprinkle it in. They're not going to be like, this guy's got a lot of trauma in here. I mean, also most shows don't usually have shifters that download your memories.
Yeah.
And analyze them.
I mean, we get a softer side to Dean when he was helping that kid, like I said. Like,
Dean is so soft. Oh my God. He is.
Yeah, and then even for the Bloody Mary episode, like, I think he's kind of worried about, like, what was going on. He was worried for Sam's safety because, like, Sam wanted to take the bait, or be the bait for Bloody Mary, and it was just... And then even in Phantom Traveler, when Sam was like, I'll go do this by myself because you're terrified of flying, Dean. Whatever. Dean's like, no. I need to watch her back. Like, terrified, but I'm going to watch her back.
So Dean's someone who's experienced a lot of trauma, but instead of replicating that trauma on others because he was wronged and so other people shouldn't not go through what he did, he took all that trauma, but it just made him even more caring, even more...
Oh, Mama Duck, yeah. Or Mama Goose.
Mama Bear, or...
I don't know why.
Mother Hen. Those...
Why did I say Mother Duck and Mama Goose?
I don't know. Doing your best. But, and it's also, he's got that trauma, and with the Sam thing, it's very ingrained in him to take care of Sam. I mean, John put him in charge of Sam when he ran out of that house, and that's his job. That's Dean's job. It seems pretty clear from all these episodes. He's very worried about Sam.
Yeah.
Always,
yeah.
At all times, forever worried about Sam. And we're only 6 episodes in, and we already know so much.
About these boys, I know.
It's wild.
They did such a good job. Like I said, character-driven stories that because at this point, that's kind of what it is. These just boys are hunting these things and looking for John Winchester. That is all we're doing. And that is good.
But boy, what are we learning along the way?
A lot. Like, even going to Sam, too. When Dean was captured by the Wendigo, Sam was like, we gotta go find my brother. And then even the people, like the wildlife service guy or the hunter, the PI, or the guy who was there who was like, look at me, I got a shotgun, I'm gonna shoot this bear. And then he dies because, like, it's a flippin' Wendigo.
Yeah, you got shot there. I'm gonna shoot this bear. It's not a bear.
It's not a bear. But even they were like, maybe we should go. And then Sam's like, no, we are not leaving without my brother. It's not happening. And then even Sam, I remember, was kind of being like that dumb person in a horror movie, like going out of the circle or the salt circle, going out at night and like being dumb. And I was like, Sam, get your head on. You're the smart one. Dean's the emotional one that's like running in head first being like, Sammy, gotta get my brother. And Sam's like the one's like, calm down, take a second, let me find you. Like,
Sam, know your role.
yeah, seriously.
Know it, perform it.
Well,
it's your role.
Yeah, and then like, of course, we get more trauma for Sam that you forgot about.
Oh my God, I did not remember this at all.
So in Bloody Mary, because Sam was able to be used as bait because Bloody Mary's MO was killing people who had like
let others be killed
or like influenced someone else's death, I
Right.
guess I would say.
whether on purpose or an accident.
If they felt guilty over their death, that maybe they had a hand in somehow. I remember going, oh no, I forgot, because Sam said something along the lines of like, oh, I have a secret that you don't know, Dean. Dean's like, what? And he had visions of Jess's death before. And I just remember just oh no. And Sierra's like, what? No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. What happens?
For the record, I have seen every single episode of Supernatural, but again, I don't remember. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like racking my brain, watch this. I'm like, oh my God, what did he tell her about hunting? No, he didn't tell her about hunting. That's stupid. What does he know? What did he tell her? What happened? And then
As I'm sitting here scratching on my notebook, like, visions, like, well, we don't know now they're visions, but
visions
they were
plural,
visions.
but
He had dreams of Jess dying, burning on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. Same way, and that is horrible.
I have such a traumatized look on my face.
She does.
It's so sad.
It was so actually
Sammy.
I did forget about that, and I was really sad that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. And just knowing that, and because that is horribly guilty, and that just makes sense because the whole episode in Bloody Mary is he's just having nightmares, he's not sleeping, and like Dean's like, come on man, just like get over it, just get over it.
Oh my God, you're right. They did build up into that. I didn't even notice.
And then after, like, yeah, because he doesn't want to sleep because he's
and it's
he's
the
rehabbing
guilt.
these nightmares.
Oh
Yeah,
my
no,
God,
and that's
it's the
these
guilt.
guilt.
And not just because she died because of him, but she died, and he knew it was gonna happen. He didn't know it was gonna happen, but he believes, he's guilty about. He's like, I could have somehow prevented this.
Because in a sense too, because he obviously knew about his mom.
Yeah,
they would be like, yeah, she was burning on the ceiling, and for him to have the same dream, and I think. Or nightmare. For him to have that nightmare, I think he was just kind of like, oh, I don't want this happening to my loved one now because, this happened to my mom with me in the room kind of thing. And he's like, just whatever, like, it's not happening. And then later on after Jess dies, he's even having nightmares and Jess is like, why, Sam, why? Like, and I'm just like, oh no.
Right, because before all this started happening, he could just chalk it up to some annoying psychology and just be like, oh, well, because of my past trauma, blah, blah, blah. And then now I'm having this dream, and, he probably was just like, I really love her, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
It makes sense too because
he rationalized it so good. So
well,
sad.
He hadn't really been in the life for probably like what, 4 years, 5 years,
just like a couple of years.
Oh, I'm thinking if he goes to college at like 18.
Oh, he's 22 now. You're right, because he was applying for law school. You're right. So it's been oh my God,
for a couple years.
And
he could have gotten early.
Both brothers are very soft. In the first two, he's obnoxious. He's agitated. He's irritated. But I think and once we get to 3, 4, 5, and 6, Sam starts to come back into his role as talking to the victims, connecting with them emotionally, with sympathy after Jess, because this was before Jess had died and he was all irritated and the first couple of episodes. But now that he's sort of rededicating himself to the life, going back on the road with his brother, he rededicates himself to this life,
saving people, hunting things, family business.
Just back into the life he tried to abandon, and I think he's starting to think that he may never be able to leave it again.
Yeah, not after. Yeah, especially. I know.
He's like, this is just gonna follow me the rest of my life.
Well, Dean's really
little
reinforcing
bit.
that idea too, being like,
You still have friends?
oh yeah, he was like, you still have friends? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna lie to them? Blah blah, blah all this stuff. And I was like,
What do you
oh,
tell him? He's
okay.
like, tell him after Justin needs some time off, going on a road trip with my brother. So you lie to them.
Like, yeah, I guess.
I mean, he can't just, you know, be like, just hunting, ghosts, demons, vampires, all that fake stuff, hunting it.
It's real.
Killing it, burning their bones, grave robbing, whatever. It's not grave robbing, really, because they're just,
Grave desecration?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just desecrating the graves, they're not robbing anything. It's more just destruction.
Also, going back to the saving people, hunting things, family business thing, I totally forgot that's in the second episode for Wendigo. I think everyone always assumes it's in the first episode. And then we watched the pilot and I was like, oh, okay, I just didn't think about it. And then, like, the second episode came in and I was like, oh, there it is.
By everyone, do you mean you? Because I remembered that it wasn't in the first episode.
I guess.
I guess one of the three
me.
things I remembered from this season is that saving people, hunting things, the family business was not in the first episode.
I was also like, I think Dad wants us to pick up where we left off. That was it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so good.
I think Dad wants us to pick up where we left off.
Saving people, hunting things, the family business.
But I liked all these episodes, actually. It was a good time rewatching it. I feel like now that we're rewatching this, now that it's stuff that I haven't seen in a long time, I know you said, Sierra, that, like, you didn't rewatch a lot of these episodes. I know that I've definitely seen every episode between probably, like, seasons, like, 1 through, like, 8 or 9. I've seen at least, like, 3 times.
All right, I'll take it.
At least 2. I know. Some of them, I say 3 because...
2 is probably reserved for season 7.
Yeah, and a few, like, random filler episodes that I was just like, I don't really care. But I definitely know I've watched these ones, like, maybe, like, 5 times, but that was, like, years ago. And I definitely was surprised that I didn't remember as much as I thought I did, even though I was like, oh, I, like, kind of slowly am, like, remembering. But, like, I don't know.
For me, it's a mix of, like, I've definitely forgotten, like, the big things. Like Sam, we hear in season 1 that Sam had visions about Jess's death before it happens. That's a big thing I forgot. But there's also, like, the little things you forget. Like, just the fun Dean attitude, the stuff that he says, and all, like, the brother stuff you forget about. And you see it, and you're like, oh yeah. Those brothers being assholes. Really good. Really quality stuff. Overall, 5?
5 episodes.
This would be 5 episodes. All 5 of these episodes were pretty solid episodes.
They were.
Themselves. You learn about the lore a lot. We continue to expand the supernatural universe that we're new to as viewers. And we also learn a tremendous amount about the psychological trauma of our 2 main characters. This is so wild that we learn so much about them.
And we're also staying along the nice plot line of Sam and Dean finding John Winchester.
Yes, they're making their way. Phantom and Phantom Traveler. The guy says, that if you call John's cell phone now, it gives them Dean's cell phone number to call in case it's an emergency. So troubling.
Yeah.
So their search isn't going great. Not optimal. They think that he thinks he's going to be dead, or that he already is dead, because if he changed his voicemail to Dean's newish number, that something might not go so well for him, and if someone needs to contact him for spooky reasons, to call Dean. I guess we'll just have to see where the next few episodes take us.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at HunterHost. If you are listening to us on Anchor, check us out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we also are posting every episode. We're driving off. We will see you next time in our rearview mirror. We're never doing 5 again.